Okay, imagine this sound. It's really simple. Just that quiet click of a key turning in the lock,
Uh-huh.
and then the door clicks shut behind you. For most of us, it's just background noise, maybe the end of the workday.
Right. Just another moment.
But according to PG Sebastian, that very instant
Hmm.
is actually one of the biggest transitions we make all day.
Yeah, he talks about it being this shift, doesn't he? From carrying, what does he call it? The world's wild weight.
Yeah, that's it. Shifting from that to something,
Hmm.
well, something warmer, something
Yeah.
that he actually argues should feel almost sacred.
It's like taking off the armor, isn't it? And that really is what we're getting into today in this deep dive.
Exactly.
We're unpacking PG Sebastian's thoughts here, his really profound reflections on the front door, specifically why he calls that moment of coming back the sacred ritual of welcome home.
It's so much more than just, walking in.
Oh, absolutely. He says it's about holding that emotional threshold, that boundary, with the reverence it really deserves.
So our mission today is to really dig into why this tiny little moment, this second, might be one of the most emotionally packed seconds of our entire day.
And crucially, how actually doing this daily ceremony, this small ritual of return, how that can be an act of deep care, how it can maybe heal some of those invisible wounds we all seem to pick up out there.
Yeah, the ones we don't even talk about.
Let's start with Sebastian's core idea, which, it cuts right to the chase. He says, quite bluntly, life outside those walls is brutal.
That's a strong word. Brutal.
It is. But we kind of need to accept that truth first, he argues, to understand the rest.
Okay, brutal might sound a bit extreme at first, but then you think about what he calls the quiet war we fight every single day.
Right.
And then it starts to make a lot more sense. Let's talk about that damage. It's rarely, a physical wound.
No, it's more subtle.
It's that spiritual wearing down, like sitting through endless meetings that just drain your spirit, until you feel kind of hollowed out.
Or maybe you're pouring every single ounce of yourself, your sweat, your brain power, into a small business that just refuses to let you rest. Demands 18 hours a day.
Yeah, or juggling caregiving with work. Or maybe just 100 little demands that nobody else even sees. There's no applause for that stuff.
Never. Sebastian points out that the world out there, it takes and pushes and demands. It's not really set up for compassion, is it? It's built for output.
Totally. Even when you do great work, there's rarely a big celebration. It's just, okay, what's next on the list?
And we carry that pressure inside. It wears us down, he says, on the soul.
Right. So we walk back into our homes carrying maybe that quiet anxiety from being micromanaged all day.
Or maybe it's just bone-deep exhaustion from feeling underestimated or dismissed or just unseen.
And that burden, that weight, it's often totally invisible to the person waiting inside.
Completely. And Sebastian insists that the very first step towards this ritual, towards the healing, is just recognizing that weight exists, acknowledging it.
So, for you listening,
Yeah.
think about yesterday, or maybe even today. When you walked back in that door, what were you carrying? Was it stress from a deadline? Disappointment? Maybe just frustration with someone?
Yeah. PG Sebastian says we have to acknowledge that the person walking in body and mind is returning from some kind of battle, even if they look perfectly fine on the surface.
And that acknowledgement, that leads us right to the core of Sebastian's idea, the sacred cue.
Yes. When that loved one walks through the door, maybe tired, quiet, maybe needing space more than chatter, that is the cue.
That's the signal.
Exactly. And at that point, the welcome isn't just a polite hello. It becomes what he calls an emotional landing pad.
An emotional landing pad. I love that phrasing. It really implies stability, doesn't it?
Right.
Like a place where the turbulence just stops.
Precisely. And that's why his framework here is so vital. This quiet little ceremony, he says, it needs to send 3 critical messages almost instantly.
Okay, what are they?
It's a declaration, really. First, you made it through another day.
Okay, acknowledgement.
Second, I see you. Deeper. And third, you're safe now. And he argues pretty strongly that if even one of those is missing, the whole ritual kind of falls apart.
Wow. Okay, let's unpack this a bit. You made it through another day. That's respecting the effort, right? Whether it was a crazy workday or just fighting traffic, it says, I see your struggle.
Exactly. Honoring the effort. Then I see you. This one might be the most important.
Why do you think?
Because it means seeing beyond the provider, the parent, the partner, whatever label. It's seeing the actual person, the soul who's tired and just needs connection, maybe quiet connection.
And Sebastian is really clear on this point, isn't he? He says this is not about roles.
Not at all. It's not about gender, not about who does what. It's about honoring the soul who comes home.
With those invisible wounds that only home is holy enough to tend to. That's his phrase.
Beautiful phrase. It doesn't matter who walked through that door. We all carry those emotional bumps and bruises from the day, and only that feeling of unconditional love and safety can really start to heal them.
Which is the third declaration. You're safe now. The fight stops here. The world stops at the door.
Right. And that brings us to the really practical stuff, the micro actions. The tiny, powerful rituals that Sebastian says love uses to do its biggest work.
These are the things that make the emotional landing pad real.
Exactly. And they are tiny. He stresses this. It's not about big, flashy gestures.
No grand romance needed here.
Not for this, no. It's almost ridiculously simple, which actually makes them doable consistently.
Yeah.
Like a real hug at the door, not a rushed, one-armed thing.
A proper hug. Or just a smile, he says, that actually reaches your eyes, that communicates relief, affection right away.
Yeah, or having a quiet space ready. Maybe their favorite chair is clear, or the room just feels peaceful, something that just whispers, rest now.
He also talks about basic physical care, like keeping a meal warm, but he's quick to add.
Yeah, he clarifies that, doesn't he? It doesn't have to be perfect, not gourmet, might not even be finished.
Right. It just needs to be there. It's a symbol that says, I thought about you. I anticipated your need.
For me, maybe the most powerful ritual is just the simple phrase, I'm glad you're home, said sincerely.
Oh, yeah. So soft, but it hits deep. It says, you matter here.
And the real magic, Sebastian insists, comes from the consistent rhythm of these tiny acknowledgments. Day in, day out.
But, and there's always a but, if these little things are missed, if that welcome isn't there, Sebastian gives a pretty stark warning. He calls it the danger zone.
Yeah, he contrasts this ideal welcome with what happens when home becomes, in his words, another battlefield.
Oof, another battlefield. How does that happen?
Well, it's when walking through the front door doesn't lead to comfort, but straight into more demands or criticism or just disconnection.
Like maybe one partner is just waiting, loaded with grievances the second the key turns.
Exactly that. Or just absorbed in their own stuff, offering nothing. Sebastian warns that when that happens consistently, something sacred dies slowly.
It's not a big explosion then. It's
Yeah.
slow erosion.
Yeah, a gradual wearing away of the sanctuary. The person starts to realize that the one place they're supposed to feel safe is just more of the same pressure they face outside.
That loss of safety, he says, it's devastating, deeply damaging to the soul.
Which is why the conscious choice we have to make, he argues, is tenderness. Deliberate tenderness.
And when we choose that tenderness right there at the doorway, Sebastian suggests home actually transforms. It becomes a healing station.
I like that term, a healing station.
Yeah, a place where your body can finally sigh, where your breath deepens without you even thinking about it, where your heart can unclench because the fight is over.
It's really kind of astonishing, Sebastian notes, how much of that daily grind, that damage, can actually be undone by just a single, consistent, loving welcome.
Consistency, again, that seems key.
It builds emotional trust, doesn't it? If the welcome is hit or miss, depends on the greeter's mood. Well, that's not a ritual, that's a gamble. You don't know what you're walking into.
Right, so Sebastian is really asking us to commit to offering that landing pad, that welcome, regardless of our own day, our own weight.
Yeah, he challenges us directly. He says, pause, breathe, let your eyes meet, and ask yourself honestly, are you actively making your partner feel right in that moment that your love is the one place the world cannot get its claws into them?
That commitment.
Yeah.
That's the anchor for the whole ritual.
But then, and this is the really hard part he addresses.
Okay.
What if you're the one walking in, totally drained, desperate for that welcome, that landing pad, and you're met with silence or tension or a partner who's just as stressed and unavailable?
Oh, man. That feels so unfair, doesn't it? To then have to be the one to initiate the kindness?
It does feel unfair, but Sebastian tackles it head on. He says sometimes, even when you feel empty, you'll be the one to give the welcome you needed.
Wow. Why? What's the thinking there?
His reasoning is, well, it's beautifully selfless, actually. He stresses it's not about fairness in that moment. It's about love. It's about taking stewardship of the feeling in the home.
So by choosing to give that welcome, even when you're craving it yourself,
you actually start to shape the very atmosphere your own heart is longing for. You're declaring what this space is and what it will be, almost in defiance of how you both feel right then.
you're setting the tone intentionally.
Exactly. A good welcome, Sebastian says, is a daily declaration of intention. It reclaims the space for peace.
It sounds like an act of real emotional leadership, even if you're feeling weak. You become the architect of your own sanctuary, in a way.
Beautifully put. Shall we wrap up with Sebastian's core declaration, the one that sort of sums up the whole ritual?
Right.
It's the foundational promise behind the welcome home. The world may not always be kind to you, but I will be.
Simple, powerful. And there's a second part, too, isn't there?
Yes, you may fight battles out there, but in here, we rest, we repair, and we remember who we are.
That acknowledgement, that moment of tenderness.
Yeah.
He's right, it changes everything for the soul.
It just brings it all back to those three incredibly potent words, when said with genuine feeling, welcome home, you are loved.
Hmm. So, based on everything PG Sebastian lays out here, if just one consistent, loving welcome can undo so much invisible damage day after day, here's a thought to maybe carry with you tonight.
Okay.
What small, invisible wound are you preparing to tend to in yourself or your partner just by changing how you walk through or greet someone at your front door this evening?
That's a powerful question to sit with. We really encourage you to explore more of PG Sebastian's reflections on this and all the services offered through the Steps to Forever ecosystem. Maybe start building or reinforcing your own emotional landing pad tonight.
Until our next deep dive, we wish you both